Welcome everyone to Textiles and Tea with the Handweavers Guild of America. I'm Kathy Group, I'm the advertising manager, and I get to be your host today. Today we are sponsored by Heddlecraft. Heddlecraft is a digital weaving magazine designed for weavers who already know how to weave, but want to learn a better understanding of weaving and weave structure. For more information, be sure you check them out at heddlecraft.com. We will take questions today, as always. It will be the last 15 minutes of the hour. Please put your questions in the Q&A and not in the chat so we can get to those today. Today, we are excited to have Pam Howard. Pam focused on weaving, natural dyeing, spinning, and fiber arts for more than 35 years. And during that time, she realized that teaching beginning weavers was her calling. She's made it her mission to make sure that anyone who wants to learn how to weave can do so in a positive, easygoing atmosphere. Pam is the former weaving resident artist at the John C. Campbell Folk School in Brasstown, North Carolina. And after 21 years, she decided to retire, and she works on her own studio, but she's still teaching at the folk school. In 2016, Pam enrolled in a 5-year master weaving course through the Olds College in Alberta, Canada. In the spring of 2022, she graduated with her master's weaver certificate. And since retirement, Pam has become a member of the Yadkin Fiber Center's steering committee, which is designing a master weaving program that will be taught here in the U.S. We are so excited to have you here today, Pam. There she is. Yay.
Yay.
So first question, what is your favorite tea?
Today, and I actually have it. I like, it's by Good Earth, and it's called Sweet and Spicy. And I don't have to sweeten it. It's got natural, whatever, herbal stuff in it. And I drink that all the time. So
I may have to check that out. I like sweet teas.
Ingles.
Okay, there you go. So tell us, how did you get started in fiber?
The short version is my mother was a home economics teacher, and somebody donated a old loom to her program, and I happened to be going at the same school at the time, and I saw the loom and I went, oh, I want that loom, and she kind of argued with me, and then a couple of days later it had gone, and she said, well, she had taken it, they had sent it to the dump, and I was very, very upset. Now in hindsight, it was an old barn loom, and it was probably full of bugs and missing all kinds of parts, but I think I had been doing potholder looms and things like that, and I knew what that was, and that was when I was a 7th grader. And so when it was time for Christmas, I got my first rigid heddle loom, and so she taught me, she got me started, and then of course over the years I took lots of workshops and had all these wonderful weaving moms and things like that. So that's kind of how I got started.
Oh, that's a great story. I love that.
Yeah.
So you said teaching is your calling. So when and how did you get to that point in your life? When did you know that you wanted to teach weaving?
Well, I think it just sort of kind of gradually, it was like a little tiny snowball, and then it just kind of got into a big snowball. And I did some workshops. I was a member of the Chattahoochee Handweavers Guild. I did some things down there, and then I just, I did demonstrations, all kinds of stuff. But then when I got to the folk school, actually my husband and I moved up here, and I had no idea I was going to work at the folk school, but they came to me and said, hey, would you like to be the resident weaver? And I said, well, sure. And so then,
right?
well, yeah, it was a pretty cool job. And so then that just led into other opportunities. And and so, I'm not shy, so I can talk, and so it was kind of a good thing.
Well, I can't see everything, but a lot of your former students are piping up saying hi.
Oh,
Yeah.
hi. Yeah. Well, I've gotten emails from a bunch of them going, I'm going to be watching you today. And I'm like, oh, okay.
No pressure.
No, right. No pressure.
Okay, so you were the artist John Campbell. And just for folks who don't know, and you can correct me on this, Pam, but it's this amazing school up in Brasstown, North Carolina. And I think it's based on like the Swedish model of teaching
No,
arts.
Danish folk school.
I'm sorry, the Danish model of teaching arts and crafts, and it's been around since the 40s.
Yes, I can't give you an exact date. Well, we're going to have our 100th anniversary.
Really?
Yeah. It's the school.
Wow.
So I think 1925, maybe? No. Yeah.
That was earlier than I thought.
Yeah. And it was it came in late on the settlement school movement, but Olive Campbell, Olive and her husband, they did a lot of community building things, and he passed away early. He had a heart attack, and then Olive and Marguerite Bidstrup decided to go over to Denmark and to study these different folk schools over there, and then bring it back here. And they went around to different places, and they found Brasstown, and the people of Brasstown were very receptive to them because there was not any industry or anything, and it was kind of a teaching school. So it was a little different than what they do now. They had a working dairy and a working farm, and did wood carving and dance and things like that. And now, of course, they still do the wood carving and the dance, but they don't have those cows. So,
Yeah, Tommy Scanlon's watching. She just said, yes, 1925.
Oh, thank you, Tommy.
Coming. Yeah. Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah, she's actually on our board of directors. So we love Tommy.
Well, let me ask you this. There's been a few years since you first started teaching, just a few, right? Yeah. So if you could go back and talk to the young Pam, who's just starting at John Campbell, what would you tell her?
Oh, gosh. Oh, I don't know. I mean, don't eat as much. Don't gain a whole bunch of weight. I don't know. I think I'm happy in the direction that I've ended up, in my destination. It's I've been very lucky. Everybody's like, oh man, this is a great job. How come, I would love to have it. And it's like, yeah, it was really fun. I'm very thankful though that I had a husband. I still have a husband, but he's he was an engineer, and so he was the main breadwinner, and so that allowed me to go and really do my thing, and I'm very thankful for that. So I don't know.
Pam, dear, no one's ever going to call you a diva, because just maybe, possibly, the reason why you've been there so long and it's done so well is that you're good at what you do. Possibly, yeah.
You,
well, would you go back and tell the younger you got this and it's going to be great, or were you concerned at the time, or
no? But
you not know enough to know to be concerned?
Things that I knew. I know that I was a beginning weaver once, and I've taught dyeing and other things, but I've been a beginning weaver, and I know that you've got to be easygoing and kind and positive and encouraging, because I want those people to not get so upset that they won't ever come back. And it's not come back to the folk school, it's come back to the loom. It's a hard it's a hard thing. Weaving is not easy when you get into, learning structures and tie-ups and things like that. And so you want people to get a good foundation to know, okay, this is going to be where, you can jump off from this and then you can go and do, deflected double weave or tapestry or whatever. But they know that, they're gonna be able to ace twills and plain weave and get on the loom without crying. So that, I think that, that was kind of, I've tried to be very easygoing and positive to encourage people. So that was, I don't know who taught me that, but that just kind of evolved.
I just think that's who you are, Pam. I think
Well,
that naturally. So you've retired from the folk school now. You're still teaching there some, right?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
co-teaching with my buddy Karen Clancy.
Okay. All right.
We do
so how is your life, your weaving life, your fiber life different post-retirement as compared to pre-retirement? How's things different for you?
Well, the last 5 years, I was working on the Master Weaver program, and that was a totally different kind of weaving. It was exercises in technique and being able to make something where you're going to do like a value sampler that's a 2-inch square, 6 gradations of color of one color, and it's got to be 2 inches when it's finished. So I've been doing all that kind of work, and then I've started on another program. It's creating a program. I'm not taking it, but I'm having to do more samples. And I think I've always called myself the sample queen, and a lot of my former students will know that I will say sample, 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 because you're not going to learn until you actually do it. And samples are such great learning tools. So,
well, since you've brought up the Olds College Master's Weaver Certificate, can you talk a little bit about what that is for folks who aren't aware of it, first of all, and then I got a follow-up question for you.
Okay. Olds College is in Alberta, Canada. And it is I don't want to say it's a rural college, but it's a neat kind of college. It does different kinds of programs, and one of them is this Master Weaver program. And it was created by some women, and it was started back in the 70s, and then it kind of disappeared for a while, and then it came back about 10 years ago. And when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, I want to take that. But when I found out it was in Alberta, Canada, I said, no, forget that. And so then finally I found out that it was going to be offered in the United States. And lo and behold, when I looked up where it was going to be offered, it was 4 hours from my house. It was in Elkins, North Carolina. And I was like, that's great. I can drive to it. And so I did my 5 years there in Elkins. But with COVID and all kinds of stuff, it's been really difficult here lately because, crossing the border, sending your boxes. I mean, you have a banker's box of samples and writings and stuff like that, and sending them across the border, you just sweat bullets, because if it gets lost, yeah. So anyway, and it wasn't cheap. Yeah, I mean, the postage, well, actually the program I don't think it was exorbitant. And when my mother passed away, I had a little tiny bit of money that I could say, this is what I want to do. I want to be truly called a master weaver. So I did it. I was really proud of myself for sticking with it. So it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now that it's over and done, would you say that the, how do I want to put this? The good parts of it, is it more internal? Like, was it more of a personal reward or more external? Like it's impacted on your weaving life? Does that question make sense?
Yes, it does. It was internally, it was something that I wanted to accomplish. I'm very goal oriented, and I wanted to do it because it was just kind of satisfaction for me to say, I am a master weaver. The other thing was I wanted to see exactly how much I knew or know. And I was proud to say, I'm a great technician. I can weave really good and all that. I really am terrible at writing papers. Terrible. But that was my only thing that I didn't like. But I did it, with a smile. So, but anyway, but I think it was both external and internal. It was a thing. And as I say, because my mother had passed away and she was the one that had kind of got me started, although I've had other people along the years that have encouraged me, many, and you girls know who you are. And so I felt like that it was nice to be able to spend that little money and do that. So,
Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
The sense of satisfaction must be amazing. Now, this image we're showing, I wanted to show this because this kind of gives people an idea of how much work is involved in doing this, right?
Yeah, that was the one that we were working on with the 2-inch square. But the problem was we had to get yarn that was in a gradation of 6 colors, and I couldn't find it. And I says, well, I'm a dyer, I'll just dye it. So that's what I did. So, you
are a can-do kind of girl, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. So, and then the stuff down at the bottom, I was just doing samples. I mean, there's so many samples that I have of this, and it was just trying to see, what was the draw in, what was the picks per inch, I mean, I think it made me so much more aware of my weaving and how it was looking. So it's a good exercise to do.
Now, toward the top of the picture, are those your notebooks that you sent them, or was that a reference book?
I have to look. Oh,
behind the white yarn.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have notebooks like crazy. We would have a manual, and it had like our homework in it. And then we would have a week's long class, and then we would have samples that we do for that week, and then the homework. And I like notebooks, and I would just keep them in notebooks, and then had thank God there's 2-gallon Ziploc bags, because you could stuff a lot of stuff in there, because we were worried sending it across the country lines. If something happened to the box, if it sat out, if stuff got wet.
Oh, so,
yeah, it was nerve-wracking, but that was okay.
Well, you've taken on a new challenge now. You're working at the Colonial Williamsburg in their weaving department, right? So how did you end up there? What led you to that?
Well, as I say, my friend Karen Clancy, who we are good buddies, and she's a master weaver there, and she was, I don't know what number she was in Textile Tea, but that was back about 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe a month. I don't know. And so I kept, just going on with her, because I've known her for years, and I'd go and I'd say, oh, can I apply to be an apprentice? And she'd go, get out of here. And so finally she knew I was retiring, and she asked me, she says, would you like to intern? And I says, really? And because I have a house in Williamsburg, I have a daughter that lives in it, but I get to go stay in there. I had a place to stay. And so I have been going up there on and off this year. And I told her, I said, I'm not going to do 10 weeks straight. I'll come up for a couple of weeks, go home because I got all these doctor's appointments and then go back and, go back and forth. And it's been great because what I do is I get to be around the apprentice and they're just great young kids, and they are my job is to kind of share what I know with them and to answer any question that they want to ask me, and then I help do stuff. I mean, I'll sit and spin. The spinning wheels are kind of possessed, but I'll work on them. But I won't weave because that's their thing. They're got their own projects and they have certain a curriculum that they have to follow. And but it's just been so great. And I might be doing it some more. And it'll be kind of fun. So yeah. And I mean, everybody says, oh, I bet that's so much fun because you get to get dressed up. No. My daughter works there and she said, Mom, you'll get over that real quick.
Yeah.
She's right.
Yeah. I can't imagine being in, that outfit in July. Yeah.
Oh, and doing a natural dye day.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You have the skirt and you got layers, although I have to say linen is very cool. It's very cool. But it's hot. It's hot and then we all walk in and we all smell like smoke. So, we've got a washer and dryer. We just have to wash everything because it just stinks. But that's so much fun, and especially to do it over an open fire. I mean, you got to be
afraid I'd catch my skirt on fire.
Well, yeah,
there's that.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, it sounds like they're lucky to have you. It sounds wonderful.
I guess.
You do so many things. So I have to ask you, if you had to choose a title, would you say that you're a floor weaver, a tapestry weaver, a dyer, a teacher, spinner? You do everything. What would you classify yourself the most of?
I love to weave on a floor loom. I love to do that, but I also love to teach. I think that's so, a lot of my things that I make it as it's going to end up being a teaching tool for, for a class. Mm-hmm. And so, but I love to dye. I mean, I've got my husband, I've got the best dye kitchen in the county. So, I like to dye too. Natural dyes are just great. So, but anyway.
Well, I Mandy's going to kill me for doing this. Mandy, can you go back to the third image of the introduction to that scarf? Because I want you to talk some about that, because you did that scarf and then it was this one.
Yeah.
Tell us about this scarf.
Well,
thank you, Mandy.
There's a mate to it, and that one's in purple. The mate is in purple. And that one of my requirements for the master weaver, we worked with color, and we got to draw colors out of a hat. And gosh darn, I got purple. I was so lucky. And so I always do a long warp and can get more than one thing out of a warp. And so the blues in there, some of those blues are indigo dyed. And but I had done the first scarf and sent that off with my master weaver stuff. So when I had some time, I wove this one. And Jerry Jackson, who's our director at the John Campbell Folk School, he had asked me if I would submit something for a show at the Bascom Arts Center, and which is in Highlands, I think. And I said, okay, yeah, I've got this. This is great, because most everything I have is a sample for something else. But this I thought really was really pretty. And so sadly, it was during COVID. So, I don't think really many people went to see it. And Tommy Scanlon did, because she took pictures for me, which was really sweet of her. And then later, when it came back from the show, Jerry had asked me if I would have something that he could purchase to go into the history center, or to belong to the folk school. And so I said, well, it just so happens I have this, and he bought that. And so I was quite honored it went to a good home, so to speak.
Well, good on them for one, choosing your work, but also to include fiber. I'm glad they did that. That's good.
Oh yeah.
All right. We're doing something new. Pam's our guinea pig today. We're going to do something new. This is different. It may go over great, or y'all may go, will you stop doing that? So I'm going to just ask you a bunch of questions. I want you just to answer. We're only going to use 2 images, but I just want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. Your favorite weave structure?
Twill.
All right. Your favorite weave structure to teach?
No, block twills. Block
twills. All right.
I like block twills.
Your favorite structure to teach?
Twills.
Now, is this a block twill we're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is your favorite one.
Well, it's not my favorite one. I mean, there's a lots of block twills that are my favorite.
Okay.
That's just an example of one.
Okay. Well, what's your favorite yarn?
Probably, I like linen.
All right. I think we got a picture of linen.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Mandy. Uh-oh, we've lost it. There it is. There it is.
Yep.
Is this a napkin?
It is. It was a it was a set of napkins that I think it's Bronson lace, and we had to, that was part of Master Weaver, but I just, those are my dishes, and I just thought, oh, that looks really nice.
Very professional. Very professional.
Yeah.
All right. What's the biggest oops that you did that turned out pretty good?
It turned out pretty good. You've asked me that. I don't even remember what I said before in the last time. I
didn't let you answer.
Yeah. There was one oops that I did that I had, I was working with like rayon, and it was this itsy tiny rayon yarn that was like 60s too. And I wound all the stuff up, and I was going to make this scarf. And I was mad about something. I don't remember what it was. And I had beamed it on, because I go from, I thread from back to front, and I beamed it on, and I was just doing stuff, but I was just mad. And without even thinking, I took the lee sticks out. And I went, oh, yeah.
On 60s too?
Huh?
On 60s too yarns?
Yeah. And I'm like going, usually I can say everything's fixable. I tell all my students everything's fixable. No, that wasn't going to get fixed at all. So needless to say, I just took it off, cut it off, and chucked it, but it was like, oh, that's an oops. It did not come out right. So,
All right. Best characteristic in a student.
Well, that they want to learn.
True.
They want to learn, and not that they want to be there and learn.
True.
Yeah.
Worst characteristic in a student.
Whiners.
Okay, all you students, former students of Pam, now you're all asking yourself, oh my gosh, was that me?
Yeah. Which one were you? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. The last thing you made that you really liked.
Last thing that I made. Well, yeah. I mean, that I really liked. I think it was those two scarves, the purple one and the sage one. I think those were really pretty. And and really lately it's been samples for different programs that, you know, I've done a little bit of tapestry. I so want to do tapestry, and I felt like that if I get into tapestry eventually, when I can't get down on the floor to do the tie-ups, I'll have my tapestry loom. So that's, you know, that's my retirement.
I absolutely understand that. I do. Well, I thought you were going to say the last thing you did that you really liked was your studio, and people are already asking about your studio.
Well, you know,
Everybody wants to know about your studio. So tell us about your studio.
Okay, I have a killer studio, and every time I walk downstairs, I smile. And the thing is I can remember when I first got married, and I would be out on my porch, and the porch was higher, and I had a hot plate and a pot, you know, and that was it for a studio. And I had my looms down in the basement, and there was no drop ceiling or anything like that. And over the years, I've, you know, it's gotten better and better and better. And so my husband's a blacksmith and a metalsmith, and we feel that our crafts this is our loves. And so I've been in the right place at the right time, and and yeah. And so when we're in the house that we're in now, my whole studio is the entire basement, and I have a bathroom in it. Oh my God, that is like the best. But the last thing was last year, and we had a porch that sort of there was an upstairs, an overhang of a porch, and then we enclosed the downstairs, and so I have a stove and tables and things for a dye kitchen, and I can just open the door and walk out in the backyard, and I've got a fire pit if I want to do that, and I've got a working table outside, and a sink and the whole thing. I mean, it's just great. And I'm lucky. I consider myself very lucky. So yeah, I like doing that.
Do you teach there?
Not really, because
how many looms do you have?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you.
It's a teaching studio.
I could, but the liability. I did that once, and this lady tripped, and I was like, geez, my goodness. And so it worries me to if something happened.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I probably could. I know that we used to have a group, and we would rent the community center, and we would go over there and have workshops and things like that. But it's nice when it's at the folk school, because everything's over there, all the looms are over there, and now I don't have to worry about any of that, because we've got Allie. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah, well, it's a beautiful studio. Everybody has studio envy. That's why.
Oh, I'm glad. And it's very colorful, and everybody always asks about how I have the cones of yarn. For a time in my life, I was co-owner in a fiber store called Yarn Circle, and it's called Slat Wall. And then you buy these pegs that slip into the slats, and you can put 2 cones of UKI cotton on it, and it looks really nice. Now it's a little messy now, you know, and I have to have all my critters and art sitting around on everything. So anyway.
Well, the next piece, I have to ask you about this one, because I'm from Atlanta, where Coca-Cola's king. So I wanted to ask you about this piece, and there's a great story with it, right?
Yeah. The folk school, this was probably 11, 12 years ago. And that we had a board member who worked at Coca-Cola, and she was on the board of directors for the folk school. And they decided they were going to do this fundraiser, and we were going to have an auction down in Atlanta. So they approached the resident artists and they said, we want you to make something Coke related. I'm like, Coke related? And so, I had to think about it. And there was a lot of stuff going on in my life at that time. And so it was kind of hard for me to even be creative. But this kind of launched me back into being creative when I did this. And it's a name draft. And so, and it's, I think the name draft is, it's just Coca-Cola, but it's overshot. And so, and also the jacket that I'm wearing, I made that jacket just for that time period, or for that show. And I was a lot skinnier too. But
weren't we all?
Yeah, right.
Weren't we all?
COVID's not good, but anyway, I had it, and it didn't sell, nothing sold really. And so I had it in a box for years. And finally I got this wonderful studio, and I got these IKEA cubbies that are red and black. And I just said, I did this piece and it's really beautiful, and why not? So it's hanging in my studio.
Oh,
And
good.
yeah. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of wall space, but I made special just for that. So it was fun to do.
Well, I think Coca-Cola should have it in their lobby.
Yeah, well, they could buy it.
I'll let them know.
Oh, thanks.
I'll talk to them.
Okay. I'll give you a commission.
Okay. Well, speaking of all your looms, I know somebody's going to ask this, so I'm going to ask it first. What do you find that you like most in certain looms? What do you look for? Because you have different kinds. So talk some about your loom choices, if you don't mind.
I like a lot of looms. I like shack looms, baby wolves, and I've got a wolf pup, and because they're maple, and they're American made. I like those. You can see there's a 16 harness Ashford table loom, and I just got that. And that's kind of that what I'm going to do with that is there's a manuscript that is at Colonial Williamsburg. And so we've been Karen and I have been going through it and trying to decipher it, and I have put all the drafts and the tie-ups and the things in Fiberworks, and it's from 1712 to about 1777, something like that. And so there are some that are 16 harnesses. Now, I used to have a 16 harness AVL, but I have found that this table loom is so much easier because I can just thread it up with a point twill, and then I can just do the tie-ups. So I'm weaving the samples that are part of that manuscript. I'm dumb me. I just something to do.
Oh, that's great. And then will that be on display up there?
Well, I don't know what we're going to do with it. It's really property of Colonial Williamsburg, and so it's really theirs. But it can be a learning teaching tool for the apprentices.
Yeah.
And just it's amazing to see what the patterns were and what they were doing that far back. And I'm, it's just, I think one of the things that it finally dawned on me that, you know, there's people out there who teach certain things and they're known for that. And I just decided I wasn't interested in fancy things as much as I was historical weave structures. And so, but some of these historical weave structures are fancy. The fancy twills are amazing. I mean, you know, there's several of them that are 16 harnesses. And so you know, it's kind of,
Well, I would love to see that. I hope they do make it available to the public. I would love to be able to see that side by side. That'd be
yeah.
amazing.
Well, I mean, it's just it's a little leather bound book, and there's apparently the guy had some health issues because he's always talking about what to take because he was sick and, you know, his feet hurt and whatever. And so, you know, it's really very interesting to read. I mean, any of these old manuscripts, but it's just something that they bought it. It came from a place in a loft of a building in London.
Oh,
And
really? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and it was because of the time period. So, you know, it's just more information that of what was going on at that time period. So,
All right. Well, besides that, what's next to you for you? And also, if you want, can you talk a little more about what you're doing at Yadkin? So what's next for you? 2 questions. What's next for you? And then share a little bit about what you're doing at Yadkin.
well, what's next for me is like next week I'm going out to Elkins, to the Yadkin Valley Fiber Center, and teaching them we call it a mock class. It's a trial run. We decided that several of us who were graduates from Olds College, and we decided that there were great things about Olds College. There's great things about the COE. There's great things about other weaving programs and all that. And what we decided it was to take the best things that we had encountered and make it into a program that is a master weaver program that is based in the United States in Elkins, and it's not going to be as long of a program as Olds. So it's a 5-session course that you can get through in 2.5 years, and you can just do 2 years and be considered a master weaver. But the 5th session is going to be like a professional thing, where selling your work or how to display it at galleries, because nobody talks about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we feel like that we feel really good about this, and we're really excited. So next week, after I'm in a ukulele class this week, the next week we're going, yeah, and we'll be teaching that for the week. And then the guinea pigs, I shouldn't call them pigs, but the guinea weavers will be coming back, and they have to do their samples and their work, and it'll be as if, you know, they're in the class. So we're real excited about it. And we as I say, nothing's wrong with these other programs. It's just that for me, certain programs, I had to have the structure of a class that says, here is your homework, go do it, and then have that constant contact. Because now with Zoom, you know, you have monthly Zoom meetings, we've got all these things, and we can keep in touch with students. And so that's really good. And so from what I heard, the first class is almost full. So it's,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
You've already started.
Well, yeah, I'm teaching the first class in February, and if
Oh,
it,
all right.
yeah, so anyway,
Well, I
yeah.
hope we'll hear more as it goes along.
Well, I think so. I think Leslie's really got a good thing going in where she's at, and she's worked really hard. And
Yes.
that's another person that ought to be
She's,
on
she's
Textile.
amazing what she's
Yeah.
accomplished at
Oh,
Yadkin.
yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
And it's been no easy task. So Leslie, if you're watching, good on you, girl.
Yeah. Yay.
All right, we got questions. Shall we take questions?
Sure.
All right. First one is from Kathy Kuhn. This came in early on. Like the minute the camera came on, she was like, "Where is she? That's an amazing studio."
Well,
yes, it is, Kathy. We're all
Kathy,
thrilled.
it's not in Williamsburg. This is in Brasstown. I wish it was. Although that's the nice thing. I have enough stuff that I could, since I have a house in Williamsburg, I've got 3 of everything. I could just, furnish my house in Williamsburg, but
As it should be.
yes.
As it should be, right?
Yeah.
Robin Spady said Pam was an outstanding in managing the weaving studio at the John C. Campbell Folk School. So shout out from your sponsor there, Robin.
Yeah, and thank you.
Ramona Abernathy Payne. Hi, Ramona. Brava for achieving the master weave.
Thank you.
And then this is Jane Kaplan, because she also wanted to know about your studio. She says the tabletop loom in your studio on Ashford 16 harness, which you said it was. And do you like it? And do you get a good shed?
Actually, I do. And I mean, working at the folk school for so many years, I learned how to put looms together. I learned how to work on them, and so there was a lot of parts and pieces with that loom, so that might scare some people, but once I got it, yeah. And I wove a little, here's something. I wove a double weave sampler on it because that's for the mock class. So anyway, so yeah, I think it's got a pretty good shed. I mean, it's a table loom. It's going to be smaller than if it was like a big Lamaca or something like that.
Well, Elizabeth said, did the ALT program increase your knowledge, or just round out your knowledge, or help you learn more about the worldwide history of weaving?
Well, I think that I did learn. I think I realized I knew a lot more than I thought I did. It's kind of hard to say. Tell me, read them again.
She wants to know, did it increase your knowledge or round out your knowledge?
Round out. Because I'd been weaving for 30 years by the time I got there, and I already knew how to get on a loom. I was teaching how to get on a loom. So, I mean, I think so. But as I say, there were things that you get more, you learn more about having an eye for detail. And so I was a lot more observant of things, how your selvages look, which I always had good selvages, but your beat and how you place your yarns in your shed and things like that. I think that really you become more aware of that. So yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Carmen Knight wants to know, or Kite wants to know, do you dye your yarns for your tapestries, or do you use wool for them or other fibers?
Yes.
You do your own dyeing and use wool.
I do dye. Yeah, if a cone of yarn is white, it doesn't stay white for very long. And but I have lots of stuff. I can't say I'm a really good tapestry weaver because I'm not, but I have such a great appreciation for it. And I admire tapestry weavers who are out there doing some absolutely gorgeous work. And the thing is there are tapestry weavers out there that they don't always use wool. They use just whatever. And so it's like, that intrigues me as well. So
you'd use other things besides wool. You use
Sure.
whatever you have.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, Brenda Brock wants to know, you spoke about using long warps. How long are your typical warps?
Well, I used to have a sectional beam, and so they would be really long because if you do production and you're selling them, but I don't sell so much stuff anymore because I'm so busy making stuff, for other reasons. Usually my warps are 6 to 10 yards long. I never do anything under 3 yards because, you can always, once you start weaving, you can kind of get it looking good. And then like, if you want to do a scarf or something like that. And then you've got that extra little bit of yarn that you can go or yarn woven fabric that you can make pin cushions out of, or coasters out of, or note cards or something. So I just, and it also, you checks your ins per inch and your picks per inch. So if you want to skinny it up or make it fatter, then you can.
Well, someone named Marcy Petrini
sending
a question. And she says, one of the many talents that Pam has is that she hasn't talked about is being the advertising director for ss&D, which is Shuttle, Spindle, and Die Pot. It's the Handweavers Guild of America magazine, if you're not aware. She was missed when she left. Tell us what you liked about doing advertising for ss&D. Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you, Marcy. She was president. I think while I was there, I think Norma was president and Marcy, or right about that time. And so I liked it because I really got to meet a lot of the weavers out there and a lot of the shop owners and all these fiber people. And somebody says, well, you got to call up and you got to get ads for the magazine. Well, I don't have a problem talking. So, so I said, sure, I could do that. And, the only drawback was it was like across Atlanta from Canton to Duluth, I think. And it was really bad traffic. But and that was before working remotely. And because I left ss&D to move to Brasstown and then got my job at the folk school. So, and I think because I worked at ss&D, that helped get me the job at the folk school. So, thanks. Yay.
All right, I'm going to do another shout out for you because it's just so nicely written. I want you to hear this. This is from Anne Marie Mullen. She said, my experience at the John C. Campbell Folk School and Pam's beginner weaving class literally changed my life. Her positive attitude and encouragement started my journey into all things fiber. Yeah. I am now also teaching beginning weavers, and I base my philosophy of teaching on my experience in her classroom. I'm ever so grateful. So there you go. Good for you.
And I have, over these years, I have made some of the nicest friends. I've got sisters all over the country. Well, I got a few brothers too, but but it's been great because there's just so many people that I have that and they come to the folk school. And that's been hard because with COVID, they don't want you going over there and walking around in the classes. And
yeah.
so you can't go and come in and get your usual hugs and stuff like that. But that was sweet. Thank you, Anne Marie.
I'm going to do this to you again, Mandy. I'm sorry. Somebody said, show the first weaving at the start of the talk. It appears to be moving. I don't know if that was the first thing we showed of your three. If this is the one, does this appear to be moving? Now,
Well,
was this for the master's program also?
I don't think so. I was, it was in my purple phase, but some of it was dyed. But it was just, I really liked that. And I wear that scarf a lot. So
See,
I
this
think
is what amazes me, because if I had tried to do that, it would have turned out to be mud. And it just has a beautiful way of the colors work together and contrast nicely.
I am so lucky because I think I have been blessed with being able to pick colors and work with colors. And so I'm grateful for that. So yeah, that was easy. But you could just come up to my house anytime and I'll show you how to do it.
Oh, goody. Do you think it's teachable? I mean, I always ask people.
Yes. Oh, yes. If I could do it, anybody can do it. Yeah. I'll tell you, the thing is it's a black weft and then you've got color in the warp. And when you use a black weft, it just makes it pop. And so it's, I like to do a lot of scarves because one, it's a great way to test out a pattern, and it's a great teaching tool. And I like scarves. I just don't like my neck to be cold. And so, it's kind of neat.
Sally Organ wants to know about the curtains, the studio curtain Pam wrote about in Shuttle, Spindle, and Die Pot.
Okay.
Fall of 2021.
Wait a minute. There they are. Now,
there they are.
I lied. I said I was going to do Roman shades. No, it was too much trouble. It's Velcro. So, but they're the lace curtains, and I roll them up, and then I never roll. I just leave them down. But yeah, that was fun. I like doing that. It was.
If you want to know more, go get out your fall of 2021 issue. It's issue 207, and see the article that Pam wrote about those.
It was talking about GAMPs, and that's another love of mine is GAMPs, and GAMPs are samples or samplers, and it's everybody can learn from stuff.
I'm taking way too much time today. I'm sorry. We need to stop. I got more questions I want to ask. One thing I do want, people are still asking questions about both the Olds College and your new program. So if you want to know about Olds College, Google it, Olds College. You'll learn more about it. Somebody said, is this something for a beginner? No. You have to be able to warp a loom independently. Yeah, and have some weaving under your belt before you start. Yeah. And then if you want to know more about the new program, they should just go to Yadkin Valley Arts Center, right? No?
Yes, Yadkin Valley Arts Center. And it's Leslie Festerman, and she's in charge of it, of the Fiber Center. And I think I know she's advertising it on their webpage, and I think she'll eventually start doing more. But as I say, we've got a great response. It's like, yay. So, but yeah, and if somebody emails me or does Facebook or whatever, and I can send them information too.
Okay.
So
Thank you so much for being here.
you're welcome.
This was a lovely chat.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good.
Actually it's for those people that are, coming on. It's really painless. It's not it's not that bad. You don't
I'm
see
not like Barbara Walters. I don't make you cry.
no, and you don't see the audience, and see, because of the way I've got my screen up, I can't read with my bifocal, so I can't see, if there's questions coming in or not. So
That's my job.
yeah,
Well,
that's
I
your
have to
job.
say that it was an honor to be here with you, because I've known of Pam Howard since I hit Atlanta, so many
Really?
years ago. So it's really it was my honor to have you on today. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
If you want to know more about Pam and see more of her work, go to our Facebook page. It's Chestnut Oak Fibers. So if you go into Facebook, you can put in Chestnut Oak Fibers and you'll see her Facebook page. We do want to thank Heddle Craft, Robin Spady, who is the owner and editor of Heddle Craft. It's an amazing online magazine. If you have not looked into that, please do. It's heddlecraft.com. There's a theme for every issue, and she talks about the weave structure in depth and in a way you can understand. She also brings in guest authors, and they talk about things. It's a wonderful publication, so check it out, heddlecraft.com. Thank you, Robin Spady, for being our sponsor today. If you want to sponsor your guild or your business, or you as an individual, please go to our website at weavespindye.org, and you can sign up to be a sponsor. So we would love to have you. We want to thank everybody for supporting Textiles and Tea by donating or becoming a member. The donations to Textiles and Tea, the donations to Fiber Trust really help all the programming that we've been able to do lately with Zoom, whether it's Spinning and Weaving Week, Careers in Textiles, or Textiles and Tea. So thank you all very much. If you would like to donate, put that last donation in before the end of the year so you can get your tax credit. Please go to weavespindye.org and you can donate to Fiber Trust that way. If you've missed any episodes, you can always watch them on Facebook. We're uploading them to YouTube also, so you can watch them either place. Somebody asked me the other day, you don't have to be a member to watch Facebook live and see the Textiles and Tea. Just come on and watch. We would love to have you. Next week, we have Edwina Brinkle, longtime weaver. She's another national treasure of weaving. So we're excited to have her. Hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you, Pam. Loved having you here. Hope we see you again soon. And happy tea.